Okay, we're back. I'm your host, Kual, and this is my co-host, Maria. And we're gonna be doing the American Saga. We're gonna do episodes 5 and 6 together. Okay, we're making up for 2 weeks. And tomorrow is Wu Tang Wednesday, and shortly thereafter, we'll be reviewing episode 7. Hopefully, it won't take us 2 weeks to get to it. But if it does, we'll make it worth the wait. All right. So, I'm going to just start off with my questions. Not a lot of blah, 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 blah. Just get right into it. Keep it short. Okay. So, in episode 5, my question to you is why is Divine upset with Bobby and Dennis?
Right, so that is, I think it's because they were selling weed and it didn't make as much money. I feel like this is an episode I should rewatch, because I may be fuzzy on some of that. But did he feel like they were selling themselves short by not making enough money? Or did it have to do with
Right. He
Eric?
thinks that they deviated from the plan that he had to get the family and friends out of the neighborhood. And he thought that by going into this little hustle, it wasn't long term, and that now power had full control over the neighborhood since he had vacated or they vacated. So he was very upset. He said, "You said that I should thank you. Fuck you." Yes, to quote Divine, I wouldn't use language that harsh, of course. So, before we go any further, I want to give a special shout out to my homie that I went to 309 with. Oh, shout out to PS 309, Killer Priest. He's a Wu Tang affiliate and he's playing in the background. One love, keep the circle and family tight. Okay, so question number 2. Why are Divine and his girlfriend having differences or difficulties?
Well, I think the girlfriend, she initially feels a little bit like he's sort of brushing her off, a little bit, like he's a little bit just not really paying attention to her as much. And I believe in that episode, it has to do, and episode 6 explains it more, so I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but I do think that he feels that she doesn't really belong with him, like that.
I think you're answering the question with Dennis and his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about Divine.
Okay, you're right.
Bobby's brother.
You're right. Okay. Oh wow. See, I've done my homework on this one. Did he have something stashed in a safe and his girlfriend didn't want to be involved in that? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes.
So she didn't approve of some of that?
Right.
I don't know that it was developed as much as the other relationship between Dennis and Sheree.
I don't think that they explore their relationship very much, but they have shown the conflict. Mm-hmm. And I think that she's tired, she's upset that he got locked up and went to jail. She doesn't want him doing things that would make him wind up back in jail.
Right.
And so she's kind of drawing a line in the sand, I'm not gonna let you stash your stuff no more. I'm not gonna help you buy it. I'm not gonna take you to get it. I'm done with that. You should be too.
Yeah.
I think that's the stance.
Okay. Yeah. No, I did confuse. I confused those.
It's all right. Like I said, you make me the de facto Wu-Tang expert. I couldn't even remember you guys' lyrics, but I think I know it now. Raw, I'm going to give it to you with no trivia, like cocaine straight from Bolivia. Yeah, that's more like it. All right, anyway, but my third question for episode 5 is why is Bobby's family in danger?
Because, they owe money to those mob guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that had to deal with the aunt, right, in the family. She, Yeah, and this is something maybe you can clarify a little bit, or you can explain a little bit more. But she bought tickets. She bought theater tickets, and there was a lot of stuff in there that was a little bit fuzzy for me.
Well,
her involvement with all that.
Okay, so in the neighborhood, in the hood, a lot of times people play the numbers. It's kind of like the ghetto lottery, and the mob controls it, the numbers racket, and it's something about horse races, and if the numbers line up, you win. Somehow, they said in the show that the sister was dealing with one of the mobster's nephews, and they found a way to cheat the numbers racket, and so they fixed it to win. Supposedly, the guy who she was dating that is connected to the mobsters or related to, he's somehow disappeared, they said. You could read between the lines and know what that means. And I think they're looking for her, but she probably skated back out of town. But she left that debt with the family. So,
okay.
All right. So now, what's your 3 questions for episode 5?
Okay. Well, the first question was, I think that there was a cassette tape that was glowing in the beginning, I think, and I was just kind of wanting to discuss the symbolism in that, or the purpose of that.
Yeah, I think that Wu-Tang, this is showing the formation of Wu-Tang, and so even some of their earliest recordings were hot like fish grease or like fire, and so they used the convention of showing the tape glowing because this was going to be their passport, to a future that was much better than what they were experiencing. So I thought it was an interesting convention. That's my interpretation of the glowing tape.
Okay. All right. Question number 2. Discuss the role that Cherie's aunt plays in the episode. We might have touched on that already.
Okay,
a little bit,
the aunt, she came from out of town, and everybody was happy to see her. She was happy to see them. She has a special bond with Cherie. She gives her a lot of hope and inspiration, and she helps her sneak off to see her boyfriend. She's more like a big sister than an aunt, and Cherie feels loved and supported. When they fix the numbers, she gives her tickets and stuff, and she's pretty much a great aunt. If from the outside looking in, you know what I mean.
But the mom obviously has a different view of the situation.
Right, because she's not always there. The mom is there with these kids. The sister the aunt has no kids. And, she can pop up and seem like a big hero to the kids and then disappear.
Right.
And
doesn't have the responsibility
of the everyday, day-to-day struggle. And then, she comes and she kind of criticizes the mom or gives the mom some encouragement, like you should give her some inspiration yourself. And I think she overstepped her boundaries and her welcome with that. Plus, she left them with a big debt that they had to find out after the fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next question. Okay. Clarify the scene with the man with the newspaper in the car.
Okay, I think you're talking about when young Divine was busy trying to sell papers to make some money. They're showing that from a kid, he had this, I guess the role of the man of the house. Like he felt he had to make money and be the breadwinner. So whatever nickel and dimes he made, he probably shared with his mom or whatever. Or just kept for himself so that it would take stress off of her having to buy things for him. And the man in the car was like, yo, this is cool for the age that you are now, but when you get older, make sure you put yourself in a position where you're driving the car and not running up to the car trying to sell newspapers,
So you think he was projecting into the future that he was not going to be in? I mean, was he trying
No, I think he actually was trying to plant a seed.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was
so
trying
that he can, think about his future and try to set up something, you know, so that in the future maybe he could benefit.
Okay.
It wouldn't be one of the have-nots.
So he was actually trying to be helpful rather than putting him down in any way, I guess, or putting him down somehow, you think?
I mean, that's my interpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been
Well, I don't know. I was just
a whole nother way,
Yeah.
but I didn't get that.
Yeah. I would have to rewatch it, but I wasn't sure that he was just trying to give some advice.
I
So,
think
yeah.
so. Yeah.
Okay, do I have any other questions? I guess, okay, so the last question was I put Mrs. B, but the woman who lives in the apartments near the courtyard area.
This is from episode 6, though.
Oh, am I ahead of myself here? Well, we have this written in episode 5, so I don't know if she appears in both episodes, but
I just remember from 6.
From episode
but
6.
we can deal with that. Let me go into 6.
Okay, let's go ahead and wait on that question.
So my question for episode 6 now is, why do you think that fathers are important? And related to the Wu-Tang, I mean, we all know a general answer why fathers everywhere are not important. And they can have overlap, but go ahead.
Yeah. So in this particular episode, I mean, speaking of Jerome or just in general, because Jerome played a big role in this particular episode. So, I mean, they're important for not just the boys, but I mean, definitely for their sons, in that they want a male role model and a male perspective. Besides the mother, that's obviously has a big role in their life. So the male role model is also important because it offers two different types of perspectives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you want me to talk specifically about Jerome and
I want you to answer it any way you see fit.
Yeah,
give what you feel is the best answer to why you think fathers are important, especially as it relates to what we're seeing in the Wu saga.
Yeah. So, what is the little boy's name? So Jerome's son is I forgot his name. But so he took him out of school one day, and a day that he had his science project due, and he took him out of school and spent the day with him. And I think he made a comment that he could teach him about life, maybe better than a classroom could teach him about life.
Overcrowded.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you don't want one or the other. You can have both. And so, but he does. I mean, because the little boy goes to school. But I feel like it's important sometimes for the dad to be able to have that interaction, and it doesn't have to be the same type of perspective all the time. So I think he's offering him maybe a different perspective.
Yeah.
And
I want to take a stab at that.
Okay.
I mean, I want you to finish your thoughts though on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, initially it kind of seems irresponsible, like, oh, he should not be cutting school, but on the other hand, it's important for him to spend quality time with his dad, and that is it's kind of fun, maybe to play hooky and to do. I mean, I think in some cases dads can be seen as sort of the fun-loving parent. I mean, I know a lot of times the mothers will be seen as the one who are more practical, and the dads are like, oh, they're going to tickle the kids, they're going to fight with the kids and fight, and they're going to do all the wrestling. So I think that in a way, the dads can be seen as being more fun and more lighthearted. But I actually think that's important too. I mean, you also have to have the responsible. Not to say that that's always the role, where the dad doesn't ever teach responsibility, but I think it can be a little bit like, let him have a little fun.
So my attempt at that, to answer that question, why father is important, I had commented earlier that, in a lot of urban scenarios, there's the absentee black dad, and I think that that's such a negative in our society. I think that young boys grow up without a role model, without learning how to be men. They don't have any guide and they need a positive guide, because they're all going to grow up. And some of them are put in positions to be the men of the house when they haven't learned how to be a man. They've had no guidance. And so, since I made that comment, though, there's Power's father who was shown. I didn't give enough credit to the uncle from the South, because you don't have to be the biological father. You can just be a positive male role model, which, the chess playing guy, the guy that Bobby plays chess with, he's a role model. The 5%ers are role models. And this is something that's sorely underdeveloped, or not highlighted enough, and it should be more of this. And Jerome, we don't know how it's going to end up with Jerome, but in episode 6, I mean, he was the knight in shining armor. So far, it looks like, and hopefully, that will continue, but we don't know. All right, which one of us was asking the questions?
All right, so I lost. Let's see, where are our questions here?
We're in episode 6.
Well,
I think I was asking the question. So
why?
Okay, second question is B. Why was Dennis upset with Bobby in episode 5?
We already talked about that one, didn't we?
Dennis, the girl's boyfriend, why is he so upset with Bobby? Or not so upset, but why did he seem to be upset with Bobby? And this is episode 5, though. But yeah, I had a throwback question.
Okay, but didn't we cover that?
No, that was about Divine being upset.
That was Divine being upset. So this is why is Dennis upset?
Yeah, because Dennis and Bobby have been hanging out together, especially with Divine being locked up. So why was Dennis upset with Bobby?
That one, you're gonna help me out with that one. I think I'm mixing those scenes up a little bit.
Well, the character Shotgun, aka Method Man, made this tape with Bobby, and it was circulated through the hood. And there's a rivalry between Park Hill and Stapleton. And Dennis, aka Ghostface, is from Stapleton. They don't get along with Park Hill. Power's from Park Hill. Shaw works with Power, and he represents Park Hill. And Method Man is from Park Hill. Capadon is from Park Hill. The guy that was in jail rapping, he's from Park. A lot of the members of Wu-Tang are from Park Hill, and there's this rivalry with Park Hill and Stapleton. And so, the tape is like Killer Hill, Killer Hill, you know what I'm saying? And Dennis is offended by that. Like, yo, why you gonna let them? Because Dennis feels like Divine, Bobby, and him are more closely linked up with Stapleton. So you're giving the enemy, ammunition. Well, you're giving them their time to shine. Like, fuck that. I represent Stapleton. So that's why he was upset. Let's see. My third question is, how do you think Miss B, the lady who called the police, how do you think she feels after the story unfolded and ended the way that it did?
Now you're talking about when the rock was thrown, or are we talking about clarify what you mean about?
Okay.
So how did she feel about
when the young guy, spoiler alert, is killed? Right. She had a special rapport with him.
Yes.
And she encouraged him to be a leader. Yes. And that's what he was trying to do when the police were there harassing the kids and being unnecessarily brutal. Or harsh. And he was just like, oh, yo, I got this,
Yeah.
And then they wound up killing him right in front of her. How do you think she feels? Because she didn't call the cops on him.
Right. She was calling the cops on these guys that she felt were being disrespectful
Right.
and were not being good leaders. So, I mean, I'm sure. I don't know if it was clear, but I mean, she may have felt a little bit guilty. She felt frustrated at maybe what she saw as the decline of sort of the morality of some of the young people. And the
No, I'm talking about
so
specifically about the young man dying
Yeah.
who she had a relationship with.
How did she feel?
How do you think she feel after
Yeah.
he was killed by the police she called?
Oh, I see. Angry? I mean, yeah, I mean, like it was her fault, but I don't know that I don't know that.
She didn't know that would be the end result.
Right, she did not
so that
know.
was not her plan or her
That was
intention.
not her intention.
But can you imagine the conundrum she must be in now with having the young man that respected her
Right.
and that she saw as a potential leader for them, be killed by the police that she called on the other boys.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she's upset with the police, or she would feel probably upset with the police, even though she wanted them to help. Yeah, so I'm sure you're right. It's probably a lot of conflicted feelings, I'm sure.
Okay, so you have questions for me for episode 6?
Yes. All right, so the first question is related to Jerome, and he's talking about this land deal in Ohio. And I'm just wondering, do we think that he's going to make good on all these promises of selling the land? And he's talking about a beautiful house and talking about having a nice future for them in a different place, clean air and all those things.
Well,
so is this the correct episode that am I mixing them up? Because
this is the episode.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, is that really, is that something he really intends to do? Do you think he will be able to do it? I mean, he did end up saving the day at the end of the episode with some other things, but
well, I want to believe that everything is going to work out. He's representing black fathers, so there's a lot of weight on his shoulder. Something can happen in the future where he just drops the ball, but for now, he's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And I hope he maintains that. I'm rooting for him. I'm going to step out on faith and say that I think, that I'm hoping that there is a pleasant surprise. But we don't know. It's yet to be determined. Right. But he would be the cure-all for the absentee black father, and hopefully he steps up. Yeah. All right.
Okay, second question. Let's see. So Cherie and Divine have slightly different perspectives on Jerome. Like Cherie's upset with Jerome for pulling the little boy out of school, the little boy out of school, and then Divine has his own perspective on that. Right. And so we can discuss, the two different perspectives and.
Yeah, I understand both. And I think that there's a divide and conquer in the black community where it pits black men against black women, and there needs to be a bridge to that. So it was good to see Divine speak up for a man that's not even his father, it's his younger brother's father. And he's like, at least he's there, our dad isn't or hasn't been. So, give him some credit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm more partial to Divine's perspective, but I do understand Cherie's because he seems like he's being irresponsible. But, he spoke to that saying, I think I can teach my son more than these overcrowded schools about being a man.
Yeah. Now, do you think Cherie is kind of accepting that a little bit, what Divine had to say? Like, do you feel like she sort of said, okay, that makes sense.
I think she kind of resents her brother's father because she probably needs that in her life from some man.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have it. And there might be a little bit of tension and jealousy. Plus, with no dad around, it's hard for you to respect male authorities, the boys and the girls,
Yeah.
So, you think we covered that?
Yeah, I think we did. Okay, so so the relationship between Dennis and Cherie. So, do we think that Dennis isn't good enough for Cherie? Or, I mean, because she's more bookish and she's more, she's kind of really into just maybe a little different, I think, than Dennis. So he says, oh, maybe I'm not really in your world, or we're not in the same kind of world. And Cherie, doesn't. She loves him, so she doesn't.
Yeah.
So so what do we think
I
about,
think
what do you think about that?
It's a sad state of affairs. I think that Dennis is a good person. He's shown some great qualities, and we know what he evolved into. And he's a god, and should be respected as such. All of these young men should be, even though they're being used as pawns in the government's game. You know what I mean? But Dennis, he's such a great person with such great potential, and he should see himself as worthy, but due to circumstances, he can't at the moment. And so he wants her to have better than what he feels he's worthy of. And, that's kind of admirable coming from his perspective. Like, yo, I know what I'm involved in. You're a bookworm. You should get a guy more like you. I'm in the streets, but he might be just what she needs, and he, should just live up to his potential and be the man that she needs. And I think that he's growing into that, and he will become that. So,
and not everybody wants exactly the model of them. She doesn't necessarily want a bookworm. Yeah. She just wants a different kind of person, and she probably sees his good heart and loves that part of him. So, okay, all right. Next question. The question says, better to move to a place like Germany where people worship you versus being at your home with people more similar to you. So there was a conversation in the episode about...
Yeah. And I think that's implying that the people that are home with you don't even treat you as good as the people in Germany who kind of worship you, being an alien and being so different.
Yeah, so who's the character that said...
Hayes.
Yeah, so
the same guy who died at the end of the episode. Oh, matter of fact, did you... Okay.
Yeah, so that was just the question about whether, he just said, oh, I go to Germany and, everybody buys you beers and everything. So, and is that, does that, anyway, just the idea of, is it kind of more comfortable for people to be in a place like that where everybody just really treasures you?
There's a lot of Black American writers and artists who have gone overseas to foreign countries and feel that they got more respect as a foreigner in other lands than they do in America, which is a sad state of affairs. Did you want to touch upon that Miss B question?
That's true, because it was maybe a little bit out of order. So when Mrs. B was watching the news, I think she was watching TV, and she then goes over to the window and she opens the window and she berates the young people out there. And they were rapping, I think. But did she not like what they were rapping about? Was she? So I want to discuss what was it that she was seeing that she doesn't like in these young men?
Okay, so I think the news had put her in a negative mind frame because I think they were talking about war, and it just implies corruption in the government where you got to go to war and drop bombs, and then there's wars in our own community, and we're not fighting the good fight, fighting for what her generation did, like civil rights, the rights for us to, be equal, to go to the same schools and get the same education. She said, she feels bad that she doesn't feel bad that she did it, but it's a shame that she did that, and these kids, aren't in school, and they're sitting up here rapping and bragging about their sneakers and crime and drugs, and she's trying to say that that's not what her struggle was about, and calling women bitches and sluts and hoes. Like, she didn't do all of that to have all of this happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so she feels like let down by the youth, like they're not taking advantage of the opportunities that she fought for them to have, and then they disrespect her.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's generation gaps, and the older generation can't understand the younger generation, and the younger generation can't understand the older generation. There's so many levels of divide and conquer that's at play with the black family.
Yeah, like she would probably like to see these kids in school or in working or doing whatever they should, rather than being out there in the courtyard gathering. But I'm just wondering, what does she want them to do exactly?
Right.
But, yeah.
And one of the young men said, his rap is a movement, which made her think of the movement that she was actively involved in, where her life is on the line to protect these freedoms that these young people have, and they're not even taking advantage of it in her eyesight.
But maybe they feel that they're rapping about their struggles and their communities. So maybe for them it feels important for them to express themselves.
And for a lot of these young men, rap is their movement. It's their way to communicate about the injustices, and it's a unifying thing. If you know the history of the Wu, like, we're showing where Ghostface, Dennis, and Sha, Raekwon, like, they started out busting guns at each other, and now I just saw them perform, when was that, Friday night, together in San Francisco. Like, they've been friends from the time they were little boys in the sandbox. You know what I mean? So it is a unifying force. It is bringing people together. It's helping people start, create businesses, and give job opportunities to the young kids. And, they had the Wu store. I was rocking Wu wear all over the place. You know what I mean? And it's been an inspiration. And I think that Wu wear helped to give Jay-Z ideas about how to take advantage of rap and invest that in the other businesses, because he went from that to, Rockaware clothing line, which I think was copying Wu wear, but they just had Rockaware, So I think that the Wu has been super inspirational, and I think that they did have a movement, and it's still alive thanks to the TV series Wu-Tang Forever. Yeah, they're for the kids. Is that all?
So that's all my questions. Those are all my questions.
I think we need to wrap it, because some of our explanations was like on and on and on and on. So I wanted to make this short. I don't know if it worked. We're about to stop it up. But before we go off air, I got on this outfit as a throwback to the Wu-Tang era, circa the time this film is highlighting. So you gotta see me from head to toe. I got the Kango on, my Slick Rick style.
So am I gonna reverse this? How do I reverse it? Let's see.
Show me from head to toe.
I don't.
I'll let you know. Okay, that's a good shot. Now go down a little bit. Aim it down towards my feet. You gotta show the sneakers.
All right.
Hold up, let me do it like this. I'm getting old. I can't hold my feet up. Old school in the building. That's how we doing it. Wu-Tang forever.